Welcome to Laptop Radio. We are live at GDC with Atari, and Jason So is also with us.
Hi, I'm Ribeiro, the creative director of Pixel Ripped.
I'm Kleber, Pessoa. I'm the head of QA on the Pixel Ripped team.
And my name is Jason So. I'll also be helping to co-host this interview.
Awesome. Tell us about Pixel Ripped.
We like to say Pixel Ripped is a love letter to the history of video games. It's a VR series. It's all made for virtual reality. This is our third episode. We already released Pixel Ripped 1989 back in 2018, Pixel Ripped 1995 in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and now we're announcing Pixel Ripped 1978. So each episode represents an era of the video game industry. 1989 was focused on the Game Boy, and 1995 on the 16-bit, on Sega Genesis against Nintendo, and then the release of the PlayStation 1. And now 1978, it's the first episode that we are showing the origins of the series, how Pixel Ripped World was created, and it was by a developer who worked at Atari. So first episode in the game that we are actually partnered with a real company. So we are partnered with Atari, which is publishing the game, and it's an honor for us. So it was my first video game console.
How do you come up with the idea?
It was a long time ago now. It's 10 years ago. I was studying a master's degree, and I had to do this final project. And actually came from a dream I had. It's kind of weird. I have these really intense dreams. And I had this dream. I was playing a game on the TV, and the game evolved from Atari graphics until like 16-bit, 32, and then until like got 3D, and the whole world was changing around me. I woke up with this dream, and I was like, wow, the evolution of video games. And I was like, that's amazing. How could we get players and travel in time and see something that would never happen before? Like, I think that evolution and how the industry grow, it was so intense in the 80s, and I remember that feeling of, wow, I want to see how Mario is going to look the next console, how it's going to be Mega Man, and I want to see Link and how he's going to look in 3D. That was the spark to create the series, and I had already at the time Oculus DK1, which was the first Oculus Rift when it was a Kickstarter a long time ago that now evolved to the Quest and with Meta. But at the time I had this headset and I knew I wanted to do something with it, and this idea just fit perfectly. The idea of putting players inside the world you create, the idea of creating a time machine, just fit perfectly with the media, with the idea of the game. So that's kind of how it always started.
Awesome. Jason, do you have any questions?
Yeah. You mentioned this idea of transporting back into the game or being a first-person point of view. Was this always the initial vision of your dream, or did you guys have different ideas on how to merge new technology and old technology, or how did you truly get to that point where you're experiencing point of view? Yes.
Yeah, since the beginning, the core gameplay, it changed a little bit, but the idea of transporting players to the era of video games was there. The first design was 5 levels. It was one game with 5 levels, and each level would be a year of video game. Yeah. That you would travel and play video games, and you would see that game evolving, and that game was called Pixel Ripped, also inside the game. The game within the game that you're playing, platforming game inside the VR world was there. Of course, it was too ambitious, so it was too big for a student project, and my teacher came and said, I think it would be really nice if you do a vertical slice because this game is too big. And I was at the time building 1978, the first level, which you were playing in Atari. And I had to kind of leave that all back 10 years ago and focus on 1989, which was the third level, which became the first episode we released it later. When I finished university, it was a long journey of being an indie game developer, around 3 years. And then I found Arvory and I joined them, the company that I am partnered with until today. And 2017 we joined, and then we worked one more year in 1989 and then released it, the first episode back in 2018. Since then I'm together with the company, and we are now in the third episode of the series. Finally we are able to release 1978 because this was the first level in the game that I visioned in the beginning, a long time ago, and I'm excited that we finally putting this episode to being released.
As a woman, sometimes I just feel like the game industry is very focused on men. Why haven't you given up?
It was hard at the beginning, especially being a creator and director, to find the right partner. for a long time. It was really hard at the beginning. I had me and my friend, after I finished university, I joined a friend, and it was two women trying to get investment for this game, and it was really hard. We traveled to America, we got a Boost VC accelerator here at Silicon Valley, and we moved. We were in England, so I studied in England, where I was doing the masters, and it was really hard to find attention because it was kind of weird, two women pitching the game. And I think that was the hard moment. And we got the investment from Boost VC, but then for a year I was trying to get investment. We couldn't get any investment. There was a lot of parties that the investors would go through. It felt like a boy club. It felt like they inviting all the boys, all the men, and they never inviting us for those parties because it was like 30 companies, all men, and two women there. It was kind of a weird. And I think that was the hard time. A lot of struggling to find investment, and then when I finally found Ricardo, the CEO of Arvory, and Rodrigo Terra, which is the co-founder, the fit was right there because they knew Pixel Ripped from the student project when I post online, and they totally respect my vision. And since then, I'm really lucky because the company, I'm the director. Together with me, there is a women producer too, Eve. And in our team, it's really diverse. Now we have 20 people, but we managed to hire a lot of women after we became online. The whole company now works abroad, Brazil, after the pandemic. Before we had to go to the office, and then we managed to hire more people around. We have managed to hire people around Brazil, so that's kind of how we managed to get more women in the company. Now in the team we have a game designer, we have a programmer, female. It's really hard to find programmers in the industry. It's really rare. Programmers and game designers. There is an animator, there is an artist. We got to the point that it's kind of a really well mixed. There is a women trans. And the company always tries to push to get women, and I'm happy to be part of this partner and also help them to get more women in the industry.
You're a superhero in the game. How does your identity personify into the main character?
In Created Dot, I grew up playing a lot of male characters. My favorite game is Mega Man 2. I grew up playing Mario, Sonic, all these badass characters. They're all male, and I always wanted to have this female character that would be an example for the girls. I wish there was a character when I was in the 80s, but there was not many. You would have one character in
there's nothing.
Streets of Rage, and there was one woman there was one black person, and
there was a princess somewhere.
It's never like the main character. It was always like, we have to put women and a black person here. It felt like that. And I want Dot to represent all these characters. She represents Mega Man, Sonic, Mario, and she's the hero I wish existed in my childhood. So I hope making more games like this, like these heroes, and little girls will have something to reference and love playing games more. And I think you need to like games to want to make games. I feel like the more we do things like that and heroes that little girls can look at and wish to play games more and then feel like they can be developers too. In a way, we kind of try to help the industry in that way, being an example. So there is many events I've been and little girls come on. The parents say, she makes games. And like, I do games. You can do it too. I think
awesome.
That's what we can do to support.
Awesome. Jason, you have any questions?
Yeah, so it's awesome that your character Dot is also representative of your journey in real life too. As you mentioned, it was a male character kind of scene with all the video games, but now you have a female character that's the lead character. And just in your career and your growth, the same thing. And now you're also a pioneer of bringing a lot of women onto the scene. Do you feel like that is a strong goal for you moving forward as you keep progressing to keep expanding the network so other women can be empowered and also join the scene?
Yeah, I feel like I have a responsibility. Like, it's a small field. There's not many women, so I feel I'm not representing just myself. I feel like I'm representing, I'm responsible for giving an inspiration for more women to come to the industry. Also in the company, we have been trying to support and to try to get more women in the projects and to have these more diverse teams. But Arvory, I think we are managing to, we need more. But now I think we are in the best time of the company that we have the most women we ever had in the history of the company. But the industry itself, it still needs a lot of work. I hope I can help. I'm pretty sure we'll continue trying to help and building more games and trying to inspire more women.
Awesome. I have a question about the weapons. Of course, there's the fish and there's the sandals and there's other weapons as well. What inspired those?
I think it's Pixel Ripped has a lot of comedy and some crazy, weird moments and weird design. So some things are unexpected. Like you sometimes in the first Pixel Ripped game, you throw a ball in the trash can, and there's a lot of soccer players come out in the school and out of nothing and jump in the window. So there is this craziness in Pixel Ripped. The weapon part is kind of like this. You put your hand in your bag and there's some different weapon, like a fish, a flip-flop, or a baseball. This has a lot to do with the spirit of Pixel Ripped. When you play it, you see a lot of craziness and weird things like this.
In every period, of course, there's a story and there's culture. How are you integrating culture into each period of the game?
We like to say it's not a love letter to the history, but we're not like a history book. Of course, Pixel Ripped didn't exist in Atari, but we tried as much as we can to be legit to the consoles, legit to the way a TV or a console or a game would play or would sound. A good example in 1995, for example, the composers, they actually went so far to get the right way a Sega Genesis would play a video game that they actually record everything through a Sega Genesis console to sound exactly like that console would play music or sound in the game. So we are super concerned, and something really cool about working with Atari right now is that, I don't know if you've seen, but when your colleague comes with some cartridge, there's a moment in the game you have to fix some broken cartridge which are in development, and they share with us a lot of historical assets and how those cartridges would look, how a developer cartridge would look before release, and we make sure it looks exactly the way it looked at the time. The console itself, 2600, the Atari 2600, it's a thing that we love and we care a lot. So we even concerned about changing to have 2 buttons instead of 1, which is the original. We had this whole conversation, oh my God, are we going to change it? It's 1 button. Can we do this? And we actually talked to Atari. Is you guys okay with that we're going to change and have 2 buttons? They're totally fine with that. And we are more concerned because we don't like changing. We like keeping the things the way they were, legit the way they were, as much as we can. But of course, there is things like the music looping through the game. Yeah. You wouldn't have that on Atari. We took this creative freedom to do some things that you wouldn't have ability to enter the game too. So,
I feel like Atari is like the godfather of games because I certainly remember playing it when I was a kid. And I remember all the cheat codes. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was awesome. Was there any cheat code in the game?
There is a lot of Easter eggs. We have some Easter eggs like you can find Frogger, you can find Pitfall, you can find the reference. If you look around, you see posters from Missile Command. But yeah, there's a lot to work on it. There's so many dimensions. Yeah. That's what we managed to put in a reference from Atari.
This is one of my first console. When it's your first, you always remember how it feels. It was pretty awesome because this kind of brings me back into old times.
This is very good because that's the experience we want people to have, the nostalgia, the feeling of playing an Atari game on your house and the memory. And also to know how it was to work in Atari in the office. You play Bug working in Atari. And this is so good. If you felt this, watching the game,
you did a job.
You did a job. Yes.
It's console in there, and then the control, and then you do the ABCs. You know what I mean?
In Brazil, we had the Atari for a long time, which was my first console. But many kids the 80s was Atari. Nintendo came later.
My first video game that I ever played was an Atari. It was in 1985.
What's the name of it?
I don't remember which one was, but
2600 probably.
Probably, yes.
the Atari had.
But it was my first video game ever. I played games since then, and I love video games. That's my love for video games started playing an Atari game, and it's amazing to be working with Atari now. It's crazy. That's all I love. This.
We had a government in Brazil was really locked to the market, to the international market. And for a long time we had Atari, and Nintendo came really late, in the 90s. So my childhood, I was born in 1983. And I remember a big event in the house. I think I was 4. It's the first memory I have in my life. My father arrived in the house with saying to everyone that he got something that could control the television. And everybody was I remember my brother, I have 3 brothers, and all oh my God, what is this thing? And my uncle came with this, and he brought this thing, turned it on the TV, and he's will you see? We can control the TV. And it was such a big thing because you can control the television. I remember that was surreal. And it was the Atari.
I know this is VR, How is it like bringing memories and everything else into virtual world that we can go in and experience live?
I think it fits perfectly with VR, this game, because in VR you have much more immersion. Like you feel like you're in there. You embody the player. Your hands are part of the controllers. I think VR is a good choice. Pixel Ripped was made to be VR since the beginning, so Anna can say a little more about this, but being in VR environment, the immersion is way more than just playing in 2D. Yeah. And it's good because you can play a game within a game, and you enter the game within a game, and so there are many layers. Yeah. It wouldn't work in other media, but for VR it worked perfectly.
Yeah. Jason, you were playing the game just now. How does it feel playing the game?
Yeah, it felt great in the sense that you were keeping true to the original nostalgic feel of the old game with the simplistic controls, left, right, jump. But at the same time, once my experience for the first time, as everyone saw, going into the VR mode, I was like, whoa, this is part of the game still? This is like a completely new thing, but it still felt like an homage to the original. So I really appreciate how you kept the originality of the original stuff, but you also added the new technology of VR to match the same storyline and integrate it with the storyline. Also with the silly comedics of the fish, the sand. I really like the fish. Yeah, and when I forgot who was it, you that told me I could hold 2 weapons, like, oh, I need 2 fish. So my question off that is, who thought of the fish or the weapons? Whose ideas?
My idea. We have many, there's ideas from everyone in the team, but this is one I'm proud of it, yeah. One day I was like thinking what Dot powers she would have, what you can do if you Dot inside the world, and we like brainstorming the designs, and I really want her to have melee weapons. I always loved in VR the idea that you can grab things in your body. And in first-person shooters, you can grab like a big knife or a big melee weapon. And I thought it would be really funny that... Because for us, Dot it's a comedian. And the game is a wonky, multidimensional, funny game. And I thought it's always about, like Kleber was saying, the surprise, keeping the player surprised. And when we thought about the melee weapons, like, why we don't make it random? Because just every time you pick it up, comes something weird. I love in Left 4 Dead that it's one of my favorite games. Left 4 Dead has weird weapons, like you get a guitar and you kill zombies. I think that inspiration came from loving playing Left 4 Dead. I love grabbing a palm and hitting the zombies. Found it hilarious. I thought I wanted all those weapons, and I was like, we can't have just one, let's have all of it. It became a collectible item in the game. In the demo we just let you play with all of them, but we have even more. We have a zombie cat coming.
Oh, you have more weapons?
Zombie cat.
They're not all there. We like them so much. This is something that everyone loved it so much when we tested that we ended up putting around the game that as you progress, you find more weapons. You start with just one, and there is many other crazy things like a cat.
Where can people find the game?
And now it's going to be released on PlayStation VR 2, on the Quest 2, on Steam VR, all major platforms. It's not out yet, but we know it's going to be coming out on summer. But now you can go and play the other games. So we have Pixel Ripped 1989 and Pixel Ripped 1995, all released on all platforms, all available. And yeah, if you guys want to follow up to see when we announce the date, just follow us. We are on Pixel Ripped in every platform, Twitter. You can go to Pixel Ripped website, and all the links to all the games are there.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share that we have not asked you?
The thing I want to share is this, that we are soon gonna announce when is the game coming out. I would say keep it tuned. If you'd like, a good thing is that you should come, if you can, join us on Discord. There's a link on our website on pixelripped.com that you can come to our Discord, and we're gonna be testing the game with the closest fans, a beta build, which we always did with not just Pixel Ripped but Arvory games. We test with the community and the feedback is great. This is something we're going to be doing with the Discord fans. If you want to get closer to the development and be able to test it and tell us this bug needs to be fixed, we'd like to hear you. And yeah, join our Discord. I think that's when we get close to you guys.
Yeah, if you see a guy in Discord asking for more fish weapons, that you're gonna know that's me.
Yes, we will put more fish. We should. Maybe there's a shark.
Ooh. That's a good spoiler.
Yeah.
I really do like how you are, and during these times, people are really tied to the community, and especially as developers to really listen to community, to really drive your project forward, and I think that is very commendable in this time and era.
Yeah, the main feature of this game, the ability to go inside the game, walk around, it came from the reviews that we read from the fans asking for it, and we really wanted to make sure this was the first thing we put in the game and prioritize. This became the game. This is, I think, the main difference between the other Pixel Ripped games, that you now can walk around and be dodging first person, use your powers, grab fish. This came from the community. This is something they've been asking for a long time, and before that moment that you are inside the game was just a cutscene that you just passively watch someone talk, or maximum do put a helmet on. So this now you can explore. We're giving them like this whole world to explore. This is listening to them. I hope they can play test the game and give us some feedback, and if we can fix it, we will.
I think every person has experiences that could help the next generations, and people who actually listened or listening to us chat right now. My question to every single one is, what is one experience or one advice or wisdom that you would like to share with the community?
One experience.
Or wisdom.
With wisdom.
Or wisdom, yeah.
Oh, wisdom. I would say that is something that made me do this game. It became a TED Talk that before making games, I was kind of lost. I was selling pies and I was working at Justice Council making divorces. And I started this pie business, and I did this course to open the pie shop. Mm-hmm. And in this course, the teacher asked me something, and this question changed my life. This is the question you should do yourself every day. If you could born now, you start your life from zero and forget about everything you have done in your life and start a life from zero. If you had the chance to start right now a new life, what would you do? And this is the question that made me realize I should be doing games. So
oh, wow.
It's a simple question, but I think we should do ourselves these questions more often, because I never had thought I could make games, and at that time I was so lost. And that was a switch in my life, and it made me left the pies behind and go start and make games. So I think,
left the pies behind. Oh no,
no pies, and go for making games with fish. I think you should ask yourself, like, what would you do if you could have this chance? And I think this makes us really clear for us what we really want in life. I think it helped me to really see what I want and what I like. And I always liked playing games, but I never had given me the opportunity to actually work with that. And I was like, oh my, I can actually make games. It was such a simple question, but in the crazy life we live, we never stop and think. We just go with the flow, and then we miss opportunities. That changed my life, and this was like in 2009.
Awesome.
So, yeah, this is a question I think if you can do it right now, and if you can, just try it. The thing that made me try too was like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna be thinking, what if? And this is the worst feeling ever. I think if you can try, and then if it does go wrong, at least you know you tried, right? So
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever ask what if about your...
Yeah, I miss my pies. I like the food business a lot. I used to eat my pies every day just to check if the flavors were good. And I miss the pizza pie. There was meat pie, pizza pie, shrimp, so many flavors. And yeah, one day maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll open a pie shop. I don't know. My clients are really sad that I left the pies for games.
How about you? What is one wisdom that you would like to share with the community?
I don't know if I can be more inspiring than this. But what I can say, if you have a dream, you can go for it. But of course, you're not always guaranteed that you're going to make it. But even if it's hard, but if you know what you want to do, you go for it. I always dreamed to work with games, work within the game industry, to be a game designer, or to be in a studio doing this. And right now I'm here doing this. And for me, when I was 10 years or 15 years ago, it seemed impossible for me to do this. Like, came from a very humble family and community, and here I am in San Francisco with Ana Ribeiro,
with Atari,
with Atari,
head of the QA.
Yes, wow. And so it may happen. Like, if you have to study, have to work hard, but I think that's something that I can say So, but Anna was very inspiring on what she said. If you know what you want to do, try to go for it. It's very inspiring. It's very good to be working with people that are so talented. Like Anna. Anna is a storm of creativity.
I learn with him every day. Come on. This guy is awesome.
Both of you are awesome and inspiring.
Yeah, he is leading greatly a team. Before we had no QA, now we have a whole team of QAs.
And I feel very lucky because I'm around a lot of people that are very talented and inspiring.
Yeah.
I feel very lucky, and one thing that I can say, be around people that are inspiring. And then you can be closer to them or do things that you are inspired to do.
Yeah, there's something amazing about Avery. Like I started the game, it was just me alone. Friends helping, it was a small team. And then when we started the company, it was like 5 in the team, and now we have 20 people working on Pixel Ripped. And I learned so much with them. There's so many incredible people. The level, it's really high. I know a little bit of everything, every area, because before I was doing the game kind of alone, so I had to do the art and everything. But I'm not any close to be as good as the leads in the team, like the artist and the animator, the narrative designer, the programmer are incredible, and Romulo. They are amazing, the leads, and the team became so big. And for me, I feel like I'm learning more than they were, but it's really good to hear this too. But yeah, I'm really proud of the team we have, and that's how we managed to build such a complex game. The team is really passionate, and this is gold, like having a team that embraces the game as their game, and everyone participates, and we try to make the game together, like everyone can participate with ideas. And yeah, passion. I think find something that you're passionate about, then you're gonna go. Of course, I'm not going to say it's like holidays, that because you do what you love, you don't work in. Yeah. But it's just going to be much easier work with what you love. Yeah. We always have bad days, even working with what we love, but it's never going to be like, oh my God, when I work doing divorce, it's terrible. Yeah, find what you love and go for it. Life is short. It's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. I just want to thank both of you and everyone for their time.
Thank you. This was great. It was like almost like a... Yeah, I feel like emotional. It was great questions. It was great meeting you. I'm going to try putting more fish in the game because I'm really happy someone liked the fish because it was my favorite weapon too. When we record the trailer, I actually was like, we need to put the fish in the trailer, and the fish is in the trailer.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.